Welcome back to Community Storytelling. I'm Lissa Kreisler. Thank you for being with us here at KCAT TV 15, my favorite place away from home. So I'm so glad you're with us. And thank you so much to our community storytelling sponsors, Linda Lester of Lester Square, been with us all 6 seasons, and our newbie, and I just love the fact that Tyler Taylor has brought along Sassy as our sponsor, which means Successful Aging Solutions and Community Consulting. So let's get started, because I've got a hero sitting next to me. Not every day you get to sit next to a hero, but I have somebody who's not only a hero, he actually saves somebody's life. And I don't think really many people get to do that, get the honor of doing that. Bruce Richardson, welcome. So you are a hero.
Well, yeah, no.
No buts about it. You saved a man's life.
Yeah, but you know, it really wasn't that hard. That's kind of why I'm on this program, is I want to get people to learn CPR because it can save people's lives.
So let's start from the beginning. You're in the parking lot outside an auto parts store on Los Gatos Boulevard?
Yes.
And take it from there.
Well, basically, I drove into the parking lot. I saw the guy, Red, who I know. Actually, he works there. And he collapsed in the parking lot.
Oh, wait a second. I didn't realize that. You knew the guy who collapsed?
Yeah, he does. He fixes, he does machine work for us at the machine shop and so forth. So we know him. My son knows him, and I've known him for probably 10 years. Not really like a friend or anything like that, but I know Red. And so I saw him in the parking lot, and then he collapsed on the driveway there, and I immediately ran over to him and saw that he was in serious distress. I rolled him over on his back. I actually took my sweatshirt and put it underneath his head to make sure he was getting good breathing, but he wasn't breathing. And he had no pulse. I spent about 5 or 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, trying to find a pulse, but it seemed to be pretty evident that he had something serious going on. So I just made the decision just to start CPR.
And what is CPR now? I took a test 20 years ago.
Well, 20 years ago, it's a lot different than it is now. It's really simple. It's compressions. It's no breaths. I'm the same way. I was in ski patrol for 23 years. At Squaw Valley, and we had to take CPR refresher every day. There was a big bunch of protocols for kids, teenagers, adults, 2-person, 1-person, but now it's so simple. There's no breathing, it's just chest compression. So there's really no excuse for not knowing it. So basically I started off doing chest compressions, and his color stayed good. And it was actually very interesting because midway through, or maybe about 2 minutes through, I thought there might be some response, so I went and rechecked for pulse, and it was kind of interesting.
Did you do the wrist pulse or neck?
Everywhere,
okay.
trying to find a pulse, and I couldn't catch a pulse, and his color actually started to turn bad. And then I immediately restarted CPR, and actually his color got a lot better, almost normal. Well, pretty close to normal.
Wow.
So it really works.
And at the same time, there were other people in the parking lot, and I assume you said call 911.
Well, yeah, somebody I think had already called 911. It was kind of funny because one of the guys basically started asking these questions, and I kind of got a little frustrated. I go, he's in cardiac arrest, no pulse, no breathing, get here right away.
Yes.
And so I think that kind of shut the conversation off. Fortunately, Shannon Road was not too far from there, so they got here pretty quickly. But yeah, the whole team there really was supportive, but they really didn't know anything about CPR, and so it was evident that what I did really helped.
So, Heimlich maneuver, which I also think I know, maybe I don't anymore. You save a lot of lives. You don't really hear often about CPR. Somebody just happened to be in the parking lot saving somebody's life. I think that's very rare. You really should be honored and proud of yourself.
Yeah, but I think part of it is just the randomness of the whole thing. I just happened to be there at the right time, and I happen to know CPR. The other people that there didn't know CPR. So if I wasn't there, now if they did know CPR, it wouldn't be such an event. And I think if more people knew CPR, there'd be a lot more saves, because again, I think the statistic is every minute there's a 10% less chance of survival. And I talked to the people at the fire department that were on the scene, and they were said how rare it is, and because they get there usually at no closer than 5 minutes to the event, by 5 minutes there's a pretty low chance that you're going to survive. So it really is important that somebody starts CPR right away. Now,
I know you can't teach a CPR here on the show or anything like that, but is there some sort of a certain clasp that you can show us? Because what if it happens do you really have to know CPR to do something to somebody?
Two things there. One is that you can go online, Google it, and I think you can learn pretty easily online. There are classes all over the place, and I was actually kind of proud. One of the guys I work with at Zero Motorcycle, he was inspired by the story and had his whole team at Zero Motorcycle. So if you have a company, I would encourage you to have the company support individuals to get CPR, and or again, go online, and or I keep telling people, if somebody collapses in front of you, they're going to die probably. But if you try CPR, they may die, but they may survive. So even if you almost don't even know CPR, try something, because
just learn the basics.
Because you know what's going to happen. If they don't have a pulse, they're going to die.
And you've seen Red since, and now I know you know him. I mean, how is he doing?
He's doing great. He's back at work. It was definitely, he had a heart attack. He was in the hospital, and they gave him quadruple bypass before they let him out, and he survived that. That's a pretty intense, operation. But he's back in the office. I saw him maybe a couple of weeks ago working on some cylinder heads. So,
what's it like though to save a life? What do you feel like?
Well, it means a lot to me, because actually my father died when I was 15 years old, and I saw him die of a heart attack. And I couldn't really do anything. And then
is that when you learned CPR?
No. Well, I kind of because of that, it was kind of my life mantra to try to help people and save people. And so that's why I ended up starting going to ski patrol. I never really got the direct opportunity to save a life there, but I did help a lot of people. And I found out a lot of people on ski patrol actually were there because they had a life event like I had, where they lost a father or a mother or something like that. And then, believe it or not, 9 months ago, my twin brother died of a heart attack. So
I'm so sorry.
So it meant almost as much. I mean, obviously, it meant a lot to Red, but it meant a lot to me as kind of some kind of, that I helped somebody. And I did work an accident where the guy didn't make it before. So this means a lot to me personally.
I don't even know if I could have driven home after that. When you realize what you did. And I would think, in your case, hey, Dad, saved a life.
Yeah, well, it makes me it makes me feel good. So
yeah. Oh my goodness. So what do you do when you're not saving lives? I see you've got road racing on your shirt there. You racing cars?
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I always wanted to race cars, but I never could afford it, and or old kids and stuff. And so when the kids got out of college, actually my son and I started this company, Excel Race Tech, and we support cars. He's taken over the business, but I still race, and I actually still work on race cars. And actually right now I'm working on electric race cars.
Whoa!
I'm on the rule committee for the SCCA, the National SCCO, to develop rules for electric racing. And actually this weekend I'll be at Laguna Seca racing an electric race car. I think it'll be the first car racing at Laguna Seca with the SCCA.
Really?
Yeah.
So does this mean like you're into Formula One and all that type of stuff? I don't really get it, but I know it's so big right now.
Well, Formula One's obviously professional. There's a gazillion dollars. This is amateur road racing. There's people out there that are, just out of school with no money, and then there's people that are billionaires out there racing. So it's a wide spectrum of racing. But we actually did open for the IndyCar race last year. I got an opportunity to be in the opening race for the IndyCar race, and it's fun for me. Again, it's not cheap, but it's not really expensive. Almost anybody can do it, and it's a fun way to get involved in racing and have fun.
I was just going to say, so what's next after saving a life? I mean, where do you go from there?
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, hopefully save the world from electric cars of the future. So
yes, they are.
I'm
I've
trying
got one in my garage.
Make my impact with electric racing, because it is the future.
That's great. So what do you think your dad would be saying to you right now?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I guess, I don't know if he'd say anything, but I think he's obviously proud of me for doing what I did. So
yeah, I know the Red Cross honored you one day, which is very cool.
Yeah, well, I have to give some brownie points to the Red Cross. I mean, they are actually the ones that taught us CPR, me CPR. They have a lot of programs to train people CPR, and they do so much to save people. And behind the scenes, they do so much, and they don't really get the credit. But the American Red Cross is an unbelievable organization and saves many more lives than I ever could. So.
Well, Well, you're a proud member now. You're an honorary member now, and so many places now have the defibrillators, but this is the next best thing. Somebody knowing CPR.
Yeah, well, I was trained on a defibrillator and so forth, but I think the main thing is that you can, if you give good CPR, it doesn't matter how long. I mean, obviously, you don't want to be doing it for hours if you can, but I know a lot of people talk about getting a defibrillator, but it takes a little bit of skill, and also, it almost takes a crew to do the defibrillator.
And cost a fortune.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap right now.
Are they?
I think they're pretty reasonable right now for a company.
Right.
But I think the thing is that, the professionals were there in a very short period of time. They got a team where the guy's cutting them open to put the defibrillator. Well, somebody's still doing CPR. They're throwing an airway in. They're putting oxygen on, and they're trying to give them an IV. So basically, you have a whole team. So I think the main focus is really concentrate on the CPR. And if you have a defibrillator, yeah, that's important, but making sure that you don't starve the brain from oxygen is the most important thing.
And on Grey's Anatomy, sometimes they have 5 people taking turns doing compression, so we need everybody to learn, so in case you need help next time.
Yeah, although again, it's so simple now, it really is.
I'm going to go online tonight.
I mean, it's basically, you find the middle of the chest, just above the abdomen where the ribs start, and you just push down, and I think it's pretty hard to push down too hard, or I think when I did it, I used to do it on dummies, but when you're doing it on a real person, you kind of get resistance, and if you're not pushing enough, you don't get deflection, but obviously you get a certain amount of deflection, and then it starts to get harder. So I can't remember whether it's about 1.5 inches or whatever, but it's, and again, I said, if you don't do it, they're going to die.
Right.
And if you do it wrong, they may not die, but they still may,
So I think, try it.
Yeah.
Try it.
And the other thing that was really impressive is when the paramedics got there and started CPR, I was able to reach over and grab Red's hand. And I'm really not that good at getting a pulse from the arm or the brachial pulse.
It is hard.
But there was such a strong pulse.
Oh.
So and obviously they're experts at doing CPR, but it gave a really strong pulse. And so, and I didn't finish the story. I actually, when they hooked him up, they put an airway in, they hooked him up to the defibrillator, and there was just noise. There was no heartbeat. They just zapped him once, and he got a pulse. And then I think within about 30 seconds, he was gagging at the airway. They pulled the airway out, and he was on go. So.
Okay, Mr. Hero. Okay, Bruce Richardson, quite a story. And I think you have encouraged us all, and I think we're all going to do it. Been inspired by you. If it's that easy to at least go on Google and learn something, do it. And then call the Red Cross and get into a class.
You bet.
Sounds like a plan. And good luck with your electric car racing.
Thank you.
Be safe and have fun and make a difference. You already have. Make another difference. And I think they're probably glad you're out there because you know CPR. You never know.
Well, they have good emergency crews.
Yeah, I know that. Oh. Bruce Richardson, there you go. If you know him, next time you see him, give him a good pat on the back and say, good job, guy. You saved Red. Community storytelling. There's the story for you. Do you have one too? You know somebody who has one? So easy. KCAT.org. Look up community storytelling. Do the nomination process, which I think takes a total of 2 minutes because I've done it several times. And I'll be sitting next to that person. Maybe it's you next time. Thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Lissa Kreisler, and you've been watching Community Storytelling on KCAT TV 15. Come walk with me through Leicester Square, where, as Mr. Rogers would always say, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and it's always a beautiful day in Leicester Square. We're located at the corner of Los Gatos Boulevard and Blossom Hill Road, and there is so much variety here in Leicester Square. I think you can probably find anything you need. Linda Lester, we thank you in Los Gatos for all you do, and we thank you for bringing us such a fabulous neighborhood shopping center. Successful Aging Solutions and Community Consulting, also known as SASCC, or as we like to say SASSY, has been serving the needs of the 55-plus population for over 40 years. They're the team that created the Ride Senior Transportation and gives us the Outlook Community newspaper. Learn more about their mission to make life better for all ages at www.sascc.org. And we thank Sassy for supporting KCAT TV 15.